And we are live. It is, what's the date today? April 23rd. April 23rd, April. Do you always feel, when you were a little girl, did you think April was a special month?
Well, no, because my birthday was in March, but I hear
your
all
name.
that. I know.
Because of your name. I mean, you knew where I was going.
Though. Both my parents are born in April, and both my boys are born in April. So April,
it is a special month.
It is. So my son's birthday was yesterday. Today's my dad's. And last week was my mom's.
I saw you with that your son, who soon is old enough to apply for old age pension. He's getting up there in years. What does that say about you?
I know, it was funny. My son is 20. My middle turned 22 yesterday, and he's born April 22nd, 2002, and 22 is his lucky number. So we're hoping that it's a great year for him.
I felt bad when I turned 50 because I was thinking, my dad, how does he feel having a son who turned 50? Right? That was the thing. I felt worse for him than I did for me.
That was my dad last year. He was like, I can't believe that you're 50.
That's right. Yeah. Well, folks, today is an awesome, I think, lesson today. We've reached the point where we're starting to talk about the real techniques, the real things that you're going to do in your business when you build the business, or if you're already doing it, things you can think about that are going to actually be campaign related and kind of make things happen inside. We're not talking philosophically about what our platform is and how we get our message out. No, we're talking about how we get customers in and we start generating income. And that all starts for us with list building. And so that is the conversation today. And we will go along with that comes the follow-on to list building, which is managing your funnels. And we touch on that as well. But the main topic today is talking about list building, which, if you can embrace, is something which is, it's like eating lots of fiber, I guess, for your business. Which is
a terrible analogy.
But it makes everything work. It makes everything work better if you, do a lot of list building.
You're totally aging yourself there, dude. Like, come on.
Well, this is for boomers and Gen X. I mean, I'm allowed to, but you know what I'm saying? It's a good analogy. It is a good analogy, and it's fair, because if you get into this one, it's a good habit to get into, to be constantly list building, and you can. It's another thing. It's one of the first things that you can do in your business, which is passive, that you can create something, and it can continue to profit you 24/7 for long periods of time, because you can build a good list builder, get it out there, get it kind of out there and populating in the marketplace, and it will be continuously delivering results, and those results will ultimately make a big difference. So today I want you to really have your listening ears on, big ears listening today as we go through it. There'll be resources in the module. Anything, have you noticed anything in the emails or something that I should be addressing here before we jump into the tutorial?
No, maybe at the end we could just talk about some people posted their takeaways from last week, because I think it'd be nice to share.
Okay, good. We will do that once we come back. But let's get into today's tutorial. Today's video is about 30. It's over 30 minutes, so it's a goodly training. Let's jump into it. List builders and lead magnets. Kicking off lesson 5, list building and funnels. Hey, we're past the halfway point of the tutorial section of the bootcamp. So congratulations, those of you that are still with us. So today, list building and funnels. List building is one of those. List building is a skill that I think is a difference maker. We'll start with list builders and then we'll go into funnels. So list builders are also called lead magnets. They are pieces of content, free samples, trials, lost leaders, but we give away something to a prospect in order to move the ball downfield as far as them getting to know us, or moving them towards a final decision or a conversion. But the key to list builders, and the reason they're called list builders or lead magnets, is it's a piece of valuable content that they are willing to do a quid pro quo on, that they are willing to share their email address with us. And hopefully it's a good and legitimate, not a junk email address. Some people have kind of burner email addresses they use for this sort of stuff. But that they are willing to give us their email address, which allows us to begin a relationship. It's like a, can I call you? Let's exchange text numbers, and can I text you sometime and maybe we'll have coffee? It's an important step in the early stage of our relationship. And we've got to exchange. It's just an exchange of valuable content for contact permission, for permission to contact you. And we store that information. We store their information on our CRM. And if you can design good list builders or good lead magnets, they are such an advantage. I call it the pro advantage. The really successful online marketers, the really successful online content marketers are really good at creating list builders. They're really good at generating value that they give to you or to me that makes you or I happy to share our email address with them and interested in what they're going to be saying in the future, because email is still the king. I know we're in the world where we're talking about AI and we've got all of these social platforms and all of this stuff. And we've been using email so long, it seems almost old school, doesn't it? It seems almost a little bit archaic as far as compared to some of the other communication tools that we have. But email is still the place that business happens. If somebody has your email address, you're speaking to a warm audience, somebody who already knows you, and you're able to patiently, without rushing too much, be able to nurture them towards a decision in your favor, or to move them towards looking at purchasing the product or buying into whatever it is you are promoting. So list building, and once getting that person on your mail list is crucial. Once they're on the mail list, then we talk about the funnels. Then we talk about the techniques that we use to move them through the customer journey. But the first key is we can't get anywhere unless we get your email address on our mail list. For each one of you, a very important milestone in our relationship that led you to this point here was you being willing to share your email address with me. That's something that you will work on. And the more that you really buy in on this part of the program, the more success you're going to have. What are good list builders? How can we create list builders? You're really only limited by your imagination as far as what a list builder can be. Now, some of you are already sitting there going, I know exactly what it is I'd like to do. Others are going, oh, geez, Steve, I have no idea. We'll just throw out some ideas. And it's in your content creation process, in your product, as you start to build your product and design your product, maybe you'll have an inspiration. You'll be struck by inspiration as to what you can share. We've had lots of successful list builders here. I've had some that I've thought are going to be great and they weren't so great, but I'll take you through a few examples of ones that really worked quite well for us and the reasons that they worked well. But a list builder can be something as simple as a newsletter. If you constantly have a good take, a good opinion on a certain topic, and you share a newsletter, your list builder is a newsletter. It gets people onto your mail list. A tip sheet or a kind of a secrets of doing something, some valuable tutorial content, training tutorials and videos, doing a live stream, doing a live webinar, or even delivering a full course. We created a list. Well, this wasn't the original list builder, but the Building Your Online Business Bootcamp could be looked at as a list builder. It's more of a funnel product, to be fair, but it is a full course that we're delivering. Back when we delivered, one of the very first successful products I had was a course for Evernote, called Evernote Made Easy. It was a 10-part tutorial teaching people how to use Evernote. And in order to sell that course, which was a kind of a fairly detailed program with Evernote, I gave away a 3-part training called Getting Started with Evernote, which was a good tutorial. It was basically the first 3 lessons of our full course, but I gave it away as a list builder. And it did very well for us, giving people access to a full course, giving them free trials. This is really popular in software, in the SaaS market, software as a service market, that you can give a free trial where you use the software for a period of time. If you're an author, maybe the first chapter of your book, the first lesson of a course that you sell, you don't necessarily have to create something brand new in order to have a good list builder. It can be a taste of the thing that you are selling or promoting. It can be a part of it that gets them wanting more. And that's just the tip of the iceberg as far as what could work, as far as a list builder. The thing to keep coming back to is it's an exchange. It's an equal exchange of value for access, value for your email address. Yes, if you can come up with that equation, and it's a simple, short equation, value for it, then you've got the chance to have a successful list builder. What are some of the hallmarks of a really successful list builder? It's got to be on point. It's got to be related, obviously, to the content. And I say it's obviously got to be related to the content that it is you're trying to sell, but people don't always get that. Sometimes we get caught in the numbers and we only think about getting the person on our list and not having them sectioned or classifying them to make sure that we're getting the right people on our list. And we will talk about that a lot. And certainly that's the thing we concentrate on a lot inside of our community is it's not about the numbers. It's about getting the right people, getting the right numbers. So it's going to be targeted in both to your prospect. So as far as valuable content to them, and they have to be valuable to your ultimate goals. The relationship with you and them has to be valuable to get you to your goals. Now, sometimes it can be a little bit of a tangent, but ultimately that has to be there. The more actionable you can make it, the better. If you can get them to do something, especially if you can get them to do something with something that you can interact with, that's going to be it gives you a great feel for the success and the fact that your list builder is working, but it also allows you to build your relationship with the person more. But if you get them actually doing something, just the very fact that you've caused an action increases the value of you to that particular prospect. If you could think of something which is actionable. Getting started with Evernote, when we started that, we had them create their first course, create their first notebooks. There was actionable items in it that we had them do that they felt like they were making progress, and it was a terrific list builder to ultimately get them to finally purchase the course from us. And you may already know this because I've said this so many times already, but it's got to have value. It's got to be your best stuff. I think there's two types of list builders, very similar to what we were talking about with the two types of hero content, the hero content and the everyday content. There's strategic list builders and there's list builders of opportunity. Strategic list builders can be like your hero content, that hero blog post that we were talking about when we were talking about content. They can be event-based or they can be campaign-based, but they are things that you plan out and you plan the journey that your customer or that your prospect is going to take. So the list builder is the start, but you've got the funnel, which we'll be talking about in a moment, that's intimately attached to it. And sometimes they really lead one into the other. But strategic list builders are ones where you've planned it out and you're creating the content specifically for to be a list builder. List builders of opportunity are when you're creating a piece of content and you go, oh, this would make a great list builder. This would be a great thing for me to share or maybe share a piece of, and then I can get people to sign up for my list to get the rest of it. So it's not always things that you've necessarily planned, but if you have the right you're looking at your content with the right eyes, you'll say, oh, this is a great opportunity. You can list builders of opportunity also when you're on a guest on somebody's podcast. What can you give to their viewers to help them come to your list? Or if you're guest blogging, or if you see something happens virally in social media and you've got something to support it where you can jump on that bandwagon and give content out and build a relationship with people through the value that you offer for something which is happening virally at that moment. If you have a speaking engagement, it doesn't have to be just all in the digital world. If you're out there giving a talk, and I used to do this a lot. We would give them a URL where they could go and they could get the slides that I delivered or some companion notes to the talk that I gave or a resource sheet from the talk that I gave. That's a great way to add people to your list and totally legit. People are very happy if you're giving them that value and that convenience. They're very happy to exchange that email address. And essentially the list builder is the first step in the know, like, and trust journey. It's a part of the know. And we've got to get that email address so that we can continue on the journey. Now, the mechanics are pretty simple for a list builder, but there's a definite process that you have to put in place. You need to have the technology in place to support your list builders. Every list builder requires some form of registration, an opt-in form or a landing page that we create that allows people to sign up for the particular list builders. Then that contact, when you sign the person up, then their name has to be saved into your CRM. Their name and email address has to be saved into your email list manager or your customer relationship manager tool. It has to be saved into that tool and added to the appropriate mail list, but importantly segmented. You have to identify, and you have the discipline of when you create a list builder of knowing who signs up for that list builder to understand what it is they're interested in. Because most of us are going to have a couple of different kind of channels that we're dealing with as far as our customer base, where they are in the sales funnel, what they use or how they will use the services or the products that we're going to be offering to them. All of that kind of comes into play. So knowing what list builder they opted in on, what intrigued them enough to share their email address with you in the first place is important. So segmentation right from the beginning is really important. And it's something that not enough of us do. We actually emphasize it. We talk about it a lot inside of the Grey Wave community, trying to get our members to always think about segmenting and identifying properly people as they come into their mail list, because that's the easiest time to do it. It's much more difficult to do it retroactively. Then you have to physically deliver whatever the lead magnet or the list builder is. Sometimes it's a download, the PDF document or a book that you've created. It might be access to a course, so you might actually have it inside of your learning management tool. It could be some custom content, a blog post that you've stored somewhere or a video you've stored somewhere. But also, those of you that are in the product space, your list builder could be a really deep discount for the first time they purchase something from you, or they purchase a small quantity from you. Or it could be free access for a period of time. That's a great way to sell courses, is to give free access to the first few lessons or the first lesson in order for people to understand the value in your delivery mechanisms and your delivery style so that they can feel comfortable about purchasing the rest. And you intrigue them, you get them wanting to purchase the rest. So all of that are the mechanics that you need. And most of the time, but not all of the time, but most of the time, the last piece of the mechanics is going to be that it leads you into a sales funnel. So the fact that you've captured that email address, you put it onto your mail list, but that might be the beginning of a funnel application or of a sales sequence or of a communication sequence, which we'll be talking about in just a few moments. Now, I'm going to take you back and talk to you about this. Again, we'll use this model here. This is the model of how we got people here into the boot camp, to talk to you about how we viewed list building for this particular project. Because again, you get to see it now from a prospect side, and I can tell you what's happening from the content creator side. So we have a series of ongoing list builders that are happening all the time. Every week here at Dottotech, we host a webinar called Webinar Wednesday, where we give away some free content, where we give away productivity or content creation. And we've been doing that for almost 10 years. And so we have anywhere between 800 and 1,000 people, let's say 600 and 1,000 people sign up on a weekly basis. Now, it's usually the same people. Most of those people, the vast majority of those people are the same. And so it's a relationship builder where they're building the know, like, and trust factor inside of Webinar Wednesday, and it does a terrific job of that. But every week, there's somebody that hasn't come before, that's heard about Webinar Wednesday from the different marketing that we do, and they said, oh, I want to learn about how to do email filters. And Steve's talking about that today. I'll watch Webinar Wednesday, and boom, I got your email address. I know that you're interested in that topic, and now we can start a relationship. Then what the actual targeted marketing we did for this webinar, for this course, was primarily the first two webinars that we delivered. One was called Time for a Change, where we talked about the challenges Baby Boomers and Gen Xers have. And then the Online Business Blueprint, which was a mini version. It was like giving away a miniature version of what the boot camp was. And the people who took the Online Business Blueprint, it says right in the title, Online Business Blueprint. They want instructions on how to build an online business. Those people were my focus for this with that list builder, because once I got your email address there, I knew that there was a really good chance that you would be interested in this boot camp. And indeed, the vast majority of people who took that particular webinar are here in the boot camp right now. So our list builders were completely on point and targeted towards our goal of getting people into this boot camp. And then the payoff is, of course, this Building Your Online Business Bootcamp. That was getting people to here. Now, we'll be talking more about how we supported the list builder in a moment, but they're all supported through email campaigns where we send out emails inviting people to take this particular bootcamp, and we track your open rate. We track everything that we can. We look at how many people open the email. We look at how many people click on the link, how many people visit the page, but abandon the page. We pay attention to all of those sorts of things. So that's all great, Steve. You understand how you got here now, and you can understand it's pretty obvious the value of the pieces that I put in place to get you here. But how do you get your list builder in front of your target market? Good question. Organically, you can do it through social media, through posting, through doing your podcast, your different shows you do, the YouTube videos, all of that sort of content that we put out there, all of the content marketing that we do can lead people to a list builder. And remember when I spoke about content last week, I said, every piece of content that you create has to have a purpose. What's the purpose of much of the content that we would create in this space? To get people to sign up for a list builder, which means the piece of content we create has to lead us towards an offer of something that's of value to people so that they can sign up to become a member of our mail list. So even the organic content you create, if it's got a purpose and that purpose is leading you towards this downloadable PDF of resources or what have you, that is a really great way to approach it. You can also go through paid ads. If you don't have the patience or if you've got the budget or if it's just worthwhile, you can do paid ads. And we did paid ads to support this entire process. We're still doing paid ads to support this even right now. You can get people to sign up for your list builder at events, such as online events that you're invited to speak at, or ones that you actually do speak at. Or if you're not invited to speak, but there's a conference that really supports what you're doing, maybe you can be an exhibitor at the conference. You can get your list builders in front of people at all of these sorts of events, as well as guest opportunities, being on somebody's show, their podcast, writing for their blog. And the really fun one, which being part of a group like the Bootcamp and later on the Grey Wave is a great place to be for this, because there's often collaborators that you can work with that will help you, especially early on in our career here. Many of our list builders we gave through collaborative webinars where we would do a webinar. I would do them with Sue Zimmerman, who is the Instagram expert, and I would go in and talk to her community about building online courses or about using productivity tools. And I would give away something for free to them, a mini course or a document or a cheat sheet. And she would put me in front of her community because she knew the value that I offered was rich. And so she was serving them and giving them better value to better content because there's a trust factor here. But at the same time, it was allowing me to spend that time by saying, okay, those of you that are really interested in what I'm doing, now you can come on my mail list as well. So those are a lot of different places and ways that you can get people signed in. And again, back to the mechanics, having it easy for people to register for your list builder is really important. So designing good landing pages. We'll be talking about that in lesson 8. One-page landing pages where you describe exactly what it is and you make it really easy for people to enter that information. During events, in social, always having a link available that sends people to that landing page or to a pop-up that happens, let's say, on your web page or on the different pages you have that encourage people to sign up. One thing that I think a lot of online marketers shy away from is the idea of being too in your face and saying, please sign up for my mail list. Please sign up for this. And we were getting really pissed off for a period of time when things like pop-ups were happening on our screen. And I want you to take that with a grain of salt. Take the imposition that you put in front of people. And I'm not saying be irritating and just be insistent constantly in making people, never giving them the information they look at until they sign up. But don't hesitate encouraging people and making it obvious and even repeating it a couple of times, the invitation for people to sign up for your list builder, because that's what the goal of that content is. There's a certain repetition of giving away free content that's going to slowly build trust. But if somebody consumes 3, 4, 5 pieces of your content and they keep consuming your free content and they never sign up for your mail list, what harm is there in pissing them off a little bit by pushing them to sign up? Because if they won't sign up, they're never going to purchase from you. So even though somebody might get a little bit terse with you, saying, you keep having this pop up every time I visit this page, Steve, and it bothers me. Have you signed up for the thing? If you haven't signed up, you shouldn't be complaining. And if you have signed up, You shouldn't be here at this list builder. You should be consuming the great content I'm delivering to you, which has no barriers for entry. It has no pop-ups. So take that for what it's worth, but make sure that wherever possible, you are inviting people and you're giving them the chance to sign up for your newsletter or for your mail list. All right, let's get into the next phase of this. After you have got a person's email address and they are now in your list, we hopefully have a strategy for moving them towards whatever our product or service is. And so this is what funnels are for. Funnels are to begin a conversation or to manage the conversation to get people through that customer journey, through the know, like, and trust journey. So it's after the conversion, we want them to enter an engagement campaign. And so the funnels are journeys that lead them to education, sales, or we also do funnels for things like onboarding. Once you've purchased something from us, those of you who join the Gray Wave in a couple of weeks, you'll be moved into a funnel right away, which is called an onboarding funnel, where we teach you all of the different things you need to know so that you can have a really satisfactory experience inside of our community. But the funnels are these logical journeys that we go through, and they map, in this case, as far as the marketing side, perfectly with the know and trust. Getting to know you through the discovery, finding us, sharing the interest, discovering our platform, and making sure that we deliver relevant information, and then getting to like us through engagement and the value we offer them, which is hopefully genuine, is hopefully generous. And so the content that they've opted in for, once the getting to know you is where they share the email address with us first time. Getting to like us is the value of the list builder plus whatever immediately happens afterwards. And then getting to trust you, the conversation that we have, the transparency, familiarity, and reliability that people get from us. And by sending you a series of relevant emails that teach you or support whatever it is that we got you to sign up for in the first place, that does a great job of showing all of the different qualities that we bring to bear as your trusted advisor that leads you, or possibly trusted supplier, as we build that trust factor. Now, the goal is, I say to overcome objections, but it's really to engender the know, like, and trust. But there's always going to be objections people have, and you want to be able to overcome them. And the more you know about the objections that are in place, the better off you're going to be positioned to be able to help overcome those roadblocks. Now, the funnels that you create can be, I'm sure there's more than these two, but the two that I kind of use and teach and think that will cover 99% of your needs are simple funnels and what I call responsive funnels. I'm not sure that's the real name for them, but I will explain. Simple funnels are a linear sequence where we send a series of emails to you sequentially in the same order that walk you through a process. So they introduce you, and they could be a 3, 5, 7-part series email, and they will basically, whether you read them or not, whether you interact with them or not, you will get that same series of emails. Now, maybe if you sign up for something, or if you do the payoff, if you purchase, if you sign up for the webinar that we're promoting, whatever it is, once that happens, there'll be a trigger that will drop you out of the sequence so we don't keep bugging you, but we aren't sending you different emails based on what you've done. Instead, we are leading you towards our goal, and once our goal is accomplished, that simple funnel is done. The second type, the responsive funnels, I get really excited about, because responsive funnels take advantage of the fact that our email software, we can track everything you do inside of an email, and we can create a reaction to whatever it is you do. So I'm just going to give you one example of a responsive funnel, but this is pure marketing gold. In the linear sequence, of course, you go email, result in a linear sequence. Responsive funnel is, imagine we send you your first email. I'm glad you're interested in this. Here's some more information about this topic. I'm going to send you some more information on this topic in an email tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled for it. But if you can't wait, if you want to get the information right away, click here and I will send it to you immediately. It's still pretty much a linear sequence, but we've added one thing. We've added a link inside it that if they've read to that point, first of all, we can tell that they're really engaged. But if they click on that link, it means that they have said, I'm really interested in this. I want to see it earlier. So now we can identify that person and we can move them into a different sequence, or at least flag them differently to put down that they are a hot prospect that we are going to pay more attention to because they've indicated interest. And we can do that a couple of times. There could be like a 7-day email sequence that somebody could consume inside of 4 hours. And we've moved them way along the sales funnel, way down the pipeline as far as getting to know us, like us, and trust us because they've read 7 emails in 2 hours from us. They're a great prospect. So that's one form of a responsive funnel that you can create that gives you so much more feedback and takes advantage of the technology, and at the same time serves your customer better because they aren't waiting around. It allows you to strike while the iron's hot. You keep them engaged through the whole process. Little things like that are marketing gold as far as building our relationships with our community. And the technology supports us if we know how to use it and if we understand the capabilities. Most people don't do that, the responsive funnel, because they just don't know they can. Once they know they can, all of a sudden they start envisioning their funnel and their construction of their funnel to support that kind of an activity. So those are some of the types of funnels. Our second goal, of course, here is to create the conversion. The email funnel, or the marketing or sales funnel, is designed to take you from the introduction, from when you come for the list builder, through to the final conversion, signing up for the course, purchasing from us, hiring us, booking a consultation, whatever the ultimate goal is for that particular result. And this is where social science comes in. In order to get people to spend money to do the final conversion, usually there's going to be the most resistance at that point because it's going to cost them money, or they're making a big commitment. They're saying, I'm going to sign up for this course, even if it's free or even if it's something they need. There's always going to be some resistance there. So we have to make it as easy for them to make the sale, to pull the trigger, as possible. And we do that through the use of things called social triggers. We all respond to different external impetus differently as far as making that final decision. Some of us, as soon as the sales process starts, as soon as the sales pitch starts, put these big firewalls up immediately, and because we want to protect ourselves. Others lean into it because they don't want to miss out. They have the fear of missing out. So when they start hearing the sales pitch, they're paying attention to everything because they want to take advantage of the best deal or the best opportunity that comes along. And we don't know what you are as you go into that. But we've developed different techniques. There are some wonderful books on understanding the social triggers and learning to incorporate them into your messaging and into your final offers. But that's too detailed for right now. I think we've given you plenty to think about today. So you should now have a real good idea of what list builders are, lead magnets, why they're important, some ideas of things that you can do to create them, or that you might, or some products that you have already that might convert it nicely into list builders. And then recognize that the list builders are just the beginning of an entire conversation, an entire process, which we are going to want to put an entire funnel in the back end of, which has one of multiple different desired outcomes as we walk people through it. So that's list building and funnels. Tremendously important. It'll be a big part of your business going forward. Now let's go forward into the Q&A. There we go. There we go, April. I love this topic. I love thinking about list builders. And when you build a good list builder, there's such a feeling of accomplishment, isn't there, April? You're muted. There.
There is definitely, for sure.
Yeah. There's something.
I mean, it's all in the setup. You know, it takes a little bit of work, and then obviously it takes tweaking. But yeah, for sure.
And it's something you get better at. But once you've done a few, you start to just develop. It's like anything else. Practice makes perfect. and adds, the more experience you have in delivering list builders and delivering your product, the more you think about it as an integrated unit as you start planning things out. And that's a good place to be. All right. I think we should jump into questions. Okay. Looks like there's quite a few.
I've been using Keep Infusionsoft for a while, but it's getting so expensive. I'm considering switching to a different CRM, but don't know which one is worth investing in. Any suggestions?
Marcy, I have a fairly strong opinion on this. I don't think that there is that. I think that it's most often a mistake to switch horses as far as your CRM once you've got your systems built inside the CRM. We did this. We moved from Infusionsoft to ActiveCampaign, and it was painful. How painful was it, April?
Seriously painful. It's still painful sometimes because it doesn't have everything we used to have.
And even if so, and they're all expensive. They all get expensive. It's almost like the gas companies. They one raises the price, everybody else raises their price. It's so you probably won't save too much. And if they are trying to get you in at a lower price, you got to recognize that when you do make the change, when they raise their prices, you're going to be trapped with them too. The amount of time that it cost us to switch from Infusionsoft to ActiveCampaign was 6 months of productivity. We were less capable for 6 months, and I was at my wit's end at times because I envisioned how something was going to work, and then I had to learn how to do it again in ActiveCampaign, and we had to figure it all out, and we had to do the rebuild. So, if you've been using it for a while, that means you know how to use it. It means that you've got content in it. I would hammer them on price. Look at what you can do as far as keeping your costs as low as possible by making sure you clean your list regularly, keep as small a number as possible, that sort of stuff. But I would 9 times out of 10, 98 times out of 100, I would recommend you stay with the same provider, unless they screw up so badly that you have to leave.
Yeah, and I would look at your plan too, because they do add-ons for certain things. So not only contacts, but like you might have the sales element, lead scoring that you don't need. You might have things in your account that you're not using and that you're paying for. So I would go back and look at that too, and because that'll help drop some costs too.
And the other thing that you can do is you can look at some additional capabilities that are built in that you might not be using. You might be building your landing pages somewhere else, and you could switch that over to building them inside of Infusionsoft because it has those capabilities. So make sure you're aware of all of the different opportunities and charges and features that are built in that you can use and take advantage of.
Kyle's asking, how are you adapting people not using email as much, Gen Zs and younger millennials? I find they prefer socials and SMS, message, WhatsApp. Do you collect phone numbers for campaigns?
That's a great question, Kyle. Indeed, a lot of our communication is slowly shifting. Some of it is shifting out of email. I think email is still going to be the primary and the most relevant communication platform for us for the foreseeable future. But you do have some new opportunities and some new way of doing things if you start to incorporate phone numbers and SMS messaging. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pass this over to April because she did a tutorial inside of the Gray Wave on SMS messaging, on using it in marketing. And now I don't collect the phone numbers here right now because there are cross-border issues. It's a little bit more complex because we're in Canada and collecting and sending text messages out when you're based in Canada to a US counterpart, to US customers. It becomes a little bit more complex. Having said that, you use SMS marketing a lot with some of the other clients, right, April?
I do, and there is SMS text programs that will do international, so that's something to keep in mind. It does, it's one of those things though, you have to, you really want to set a budget when you're first starting using an SMS text software, because it will charge you, you usually get a bulk rate, especially ones where you're doing across borders. It'll charge you per text sometimes. So you definitely want to be mindful of what's working. I think it's a great tool for anybody that does online e-commerce or event planning, or just like webinars and events, and giving people an option to opt in, because it does cater to all demographics. Email is still the #1 choice of communication statistically, even though the younger generation, they all have email addresses, but SMS is a addition. It does, if you think about it, I mean, I'm a Gen X, and I do sign up for SMS text because I'm communicating with my kids, and I'm always on SMS text. So it really is a valuable tool to add. And it can be pretty affordable because not everybody's using it, but you also definitely want to do your due diligence and the research of the software.
To increase your show up rate for webinars, terrific. Sending a reminder out by SMS rather than by email. For those sorts of things, it is a tremendous tool. But I will give you one other point of caution. If you are opting people into your mail list, the more information you ask for them, the less likely they are to sign up. So even asking for people for first and last name as well as email address, some things sign up with just your email address. Other ones say first and last name. Others say first, last name, and phone number. And just think about your own personal resistance to signing up the more information that they ask for, or at least making it optional. So those are things that you have to decide based on the type of relationship that you have early on with your potential customers. So those are all factors to consider.
The way the forms are set up, it's an option to add on. So it's not there. It is still less is more with the SMS. Kind of just you don't have to necessarily provide. It's the same thing. You can do your first name and phone number, but you could have a form that has an email or SMS. So you have both. Yep. So you can get people an option on a form.
Good point. Okay.
How do you know if your approach to list building is good or not? Do you have meaningful things like expected click rate?
I would say that I don't know if there's some statistics that are industry general ones. I don't have those at my fingertips, but after you've done a couple, you'll start to know intuitively what's working and what's not. What you're happy with the return on investment or the return on effort that you put in place. For me, it comes down to experience. Do you have numbers that you look at with other clients, April?
I do. So you want to be, you definitely want to be in the 5 to 10% range of click-throughs. But the big thing with adding links in your email, less is more. You want to keep it to 2 to 3 links in an email because obviously whatever your main piece of content that you're sending or your call to action, I would always encourage you to have it above the fold. But the more links that you add, the less you're going to see that click-through percentage, and you're really not going to get a true indication of, like, for example, if you're sending an email and your blog is the main thing that you want people to click on, you'd have that as your above the fold click, and you want to have less clicks underneath. So maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 2 more, and then you'll get a true percentage. What happens is it's an estimate, right? So when people put all these clicks through their email, people tend to click more historically because there's too many options.
And that's opting people in once they're in your list and opting in for your different programs. Getting them to sign up for the initial list builder, getting that initial email address, I would say our click-through rate's even lower if we're talking about things like running Facebook ads and those sorts of things. We're looking at 2 to 3% click-through rate and maybe a 1 to 2% sign-up rate of the people who it's being offered to. At that point, those numbers make a lot of sense. But it really depends on the platform that that you are offering the list builder on. If it's in social media, it's going to be a very low number because it's going by very quickly. If it's in some sort of direct campaign, then you're going to be looking for a higher engagement rate.
The other thing, it comes down to how healthy your list is too. If you're managing your list and cleaning it regularly, and what we mean by cleaning it means taking out people that are unengaged with your list, that are not, and usually within your CRMs, it'll track that in your reporting and you can separate them. So if you're keeping your list healthy, that's going to give you true indication of your click-through. If you're just sending emails and not cleaning your list ever, and you have maybe, say your list is 2,000 and you have only 200 opening, it's really not giving you a clear indication of what your click-through rate is, your active engaged users that are opening your email. So just keep that in mind. That makes a big difference. Let's see.
We currently use ActiveCampaign.
What email system are you using?
Yeah, we currently use ActiveCampaign for our list. Before that, we used Infusionsoft. We actually have some great tutorials and some great sessions inside of the Gray Wave where we talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the different CRMs. I think you have one coming up soon, don't you, as well, April? doing something on it, or am I mistaken?
Thursday. No, yep, Thursday we start in the
Oh,
gray
is
way.
that
We're
it?
doing
Is that the
working
great
on
way? We're doing something on it. Yeah.
Is a responsive funnel the same as a campaign built in a tool like MailChimp?
Yeah, you can all of the responsive funnels. We take advantage of the features inside of the CRM tools, so that we can include the links, so that we can include the if they click on this, then do this type of actions.
All right. How expensive are we talking for a CRM?
Most of them will give you free access till like 500 email addresses or something like that, or be $9.95 a month until you have a certain number of email addresses. And they base it for the most part on the number of contacts you have, although some of them will base it on the number of communications you have with that list. But once you hit that kind of 500 mark, you're starting to look at, the typical SaaS scaling of costs. You start at $19.95, we'll give you another 500, 29, 39. It'll start to climb pretty quickly. And once you hit, what do you think the threshold is? About 5,000 email addresses where it starts to get more expensive, April?
I would say when you're about 5,000, you're definitely in the range from it depends on what tool you're using. But like if you're using like a MailChimp or something that's really catered towards small business, you're probably like 75 to 100.
Yeah, you kind of hit that $100 a month mark once you hit about 5,000 email addresses, which is why it's important to make sure that they're relevant, that the people who are on your list, they cost you money when they're on the list. So building a list builder that gets the right people who you really have potential of doing business with is really important.
You also want to find one that you're going to grow with too. So that, just keep that in mind. I think that's the key. I understand price is really important for all of us. However, you want to definitely make sure that as your list grows, that you're not going to have to switch CRMs down the road because this doesn't offer what you need. And I see a lot of business owners get stuck in that. What's the thing where they always do these crazy sales, lifetime deals? What is it?
Yeah.
What's the name of it? What is
something
that?
like AppSumo or something like that.
Oh yeah, like AppSumo does these crazy deals where it's like $10 for a lifetime of a tool. Typically, a lot of those are just getting their startups of email, which they're great to try, but just I guess it depends where you are in your business. Just be mindful that you want to be able to scale.
When we teach choosing a CRM, that's a fairly involved process because the price is just one factor. The deliverability rate, the integrations that it has with the other tools, they're all things that you need to consider as you choose your CRM. Choosing your CRM is one of the most difficult decisions you'll make early on in your business career, because in your online business career, because of how we've indicated that it's so difficult to move CRMs downstream. This decision stays with you for a very long time. You're entering a long-term relationship here with your CRM, with your learning management tool. Those are long-term relationships. So choosing well is a good thing at the beginning.
Mary's saying, at the moment, I have mostly friends and family on my email list, which is helping with my confidence in creating content. What do you think of this at the beginning of my journey, Steve?
Perfect. It's absolutely important, especially if they trust you enough that they're honest with you. And they don't tell you it's great because Mary's doing something, isn't that great? Let's support her in it. But if you can really get honest feedback from them of what you're doing well and what you can improve, then it's even better. But I think you're on the absolute right track.
Let's see. Will we see another AI example from Steve? Last lesson's example was a great trigger for me to lead me towards the AI course.
Yeah. Next in 2 weeks or next Tuesday, I think, when we're doing our content, our next content mastery, there will be AI in that one. Next week, our next session is on payment systems and making money. I don't think I talked too much about AI in the payment one.
If you're doing consulting, how do you use these tools, from content to mailing lists, etc.? Very big question.
These tools, all of them, are designed for one thing: is to build our platform, is to expose you to new potential clients and expose them to you, and to build a relationship, to help you build a relationship so that they get to the point that they would consider hiring you if you're a consultant. So it's all about proving your bona fides and sharing ideas and being discovered and becoming a trusted advisor to these or a potential source for your customers. We're all doing the same thing. It doesn't matter whether we're selling a product or we're doing consulting. We've got to get people to find us. Then they need to understand what it is we deliver, and they have to find value in that, and then they have to trust us to get to the point where they do business with us. And it doesn't matter if you're consulting or if you're selling an online course or if you're selling an electric bike. All of the same rhythm happens.
What do you use to keep track of your stats of what's working and what's not?
Most of the tools, for example, when we're running Facebook ads, if we're advertising on Facebook, we have great analytics coming back that tells us what we're spending, what the click-through rate is, what the conversion rate is. So quite often in the tool itself, even in your social platform, things like Instagram or Facebook, you get statistics back that tell you about your engagement rate, and you learn how to interpret the engagement rate to understand what your goal is and what's working and what's not working. Of course, inside of your email program, you can see your open rate, you can see what the engagement is and how many people clicked and what percentage. We get reports on all of that. So each one of the tools has their own feedback coming back to you, their own analytics coming back to you. And then if you're even more sophisticated, you could be using just Google Analytics, which tracks everything that's happening on the internet. So with using a combination of those tools is the way that we end up tracking things.
Let's see. Rosemary's saying, I want to coach individuals, but I also want to share what I know. Any special approach? I don't want this to be full-time.
That's a hard one to answer. I would say it's doable. You have to set your own limits as far as there'll always be a tendency to do more once you start getting some engagement because you're going to want more success. But finding the balance, you have to reach critical mass where your content is coming out often enough and of enough significant value that you start to attract an audience that begins to yearn for your content and trust you and look forward to content. You need to get to that point. So that's going to be your first challenge is you want to share what you know, choosing the platform to share what you know, and then choosing the amount that you want to share. That's going to be the hardest decision for you to make. Once you're there, you can start to make offers where to individuals to coach, because you're not going to need a large number of clients. So you're just going to have to instill some sort of a conversion mechanism where you let them know that you're available for coaching. And that should take care of itself. That part should be easier than deciding first and foremost exactly what it is you want to share and how much you want to share.
The growing list sounds like a high-class problem. I don't think so.
It's an opportunity.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what size business you are. That's definitely something that you could have a list of 10 people to start, and they saying you hear it overused. The money is in the list because you're nurturing and warming those leads. And a lot of times you might have a service somebody doesn't know about. They're looking for your content. Like I can tell you, firsthand from Dotto Tech, if we don't send out an email, people think that they missed it somehow. It was in their junk mail. Even when we say we're going on vacation, sometimes people have missed that. And they're like, where's my email, my Sunday email?
Yeah.
Can you explain the difference between an autoresponder and a CRM?
We use those two terms interchangeably, Chuck. So you can, customer relationship manager, one of the features of what it does is autoresponding. So a CRM does more than an autoresponder. An autoresponder is really, if you would think about it, is you share an email address and it automatically creates a delivery of some sort. So it automatically responds to something, to an impetus that's coming. CRM does a little bit more than that, but we use those terms interactively, or interchangeably.
Struggling with Facebook ad info. I have a narrow market, but can't find how to reach them. Are you going to cover something like that soon?
Not specifically here inside of the boot camp. We do that inside of the Gray Wave. We've done a couple of courses on Facebook ads, and Facebook ads increasingly is becoming a specialty. That if you are trying to, I'll just give you one piece of advice. If you are trying to manage your own Facebook ads account, I'm not surprised you're struggling. We use an outside service, and we pay them a retainer to run all of our ads. Facebook ads, if you're willing to spend money on Facebook ads, I highly recommend that you hire a specialist to manage the campaigns. They aren't very expensive for what you get, and it's something they have to be doing 24/7 in order to really do well. So I highly recommend that you find a resource for that. Oh, you didn't.
What'd you say?
I just saw everything has been empowering, but was it? Oh, there we are.
Oh, got it. Everything as we've learned thus far has been extremely empowering. Can you give us a glimpse of what your paid offerings are after the boot camp is complete? Just an overview would be great.
Sure. The ultimate payoff for this, what we're going to be selling in about a week and a half or 2 weeks from now and opening the doors for, is our Gray Wave community, which is our online community, which is what you've seen here in the boot camp, but kind of on steroids, where all of our different resources are stored. You can go and you can watch any of the past tutorials, and we go live with trainings like this one, but we do them multiple times per week on different topics and get much more into the weeds. The cost for it is we have a very simple membership levels. It's $99 a month or $999 a year, and we just have those two options. We only open the doors for a certain period of time, so there'll be so you have to kind of make a decision reasonably quickly, and that's going to be the paid offerings at the end. April, did you freeze? I think April froze. That's not good. Oh, there we go. I will ask the question since her video seems to be frozen. Do you have any tutorial or YouTube videos on how to choose the best CRM for your needs? If you don't, how about it? Yeah, we do, Scott. Inside of, I don't have any on YouTube per se, because it's the content that we have inside of the Gray Wave. But I'm just trying to think if I have anything that's public on YouTube. I don't think I do, but it is something that we could consider at some point in the future. But I'm not too incented to deliver that kind of content, because it's a very small number of people that are interested in that compared to the kind of how broad the YouTube channel is. But it's definitely content that we cover inside of the Gray Wave. And it's something that it's hard to cover it just in a simple video because there are so many factors. It's the sort of thing you really want to have this kind of a Q&A where you're answering people specific questions and giving them specific answers.
Can you help me with one excellent book about triggers, Steve? I must make a list builder and funnel now. Chris is in the Gray Wave, though. I think we have some funnel building stuff in there.
Yeah, if you are, then we've got a couple of funnel workshops that we've done. One of the really nice activities we've done, and we will be doing again inside of the Gray Wave, is we do a workshop where you go through over a couple of weeks and you build your list builders, and it's like a kind of like a class where we build them in parallel. So those are in there, and so you can blast your way through them and see all of the details.
If you email me at april@dototech, I'll send you links to those. If you're having a hard time finding them, I can help you with that.
And that's also something that you can also bring to the Facebook group, Chris. It's a great conversation to launch.
What is the easiest and cheapest way to start a list builder page?
Well, I guess the easiest way would be to do just a Google form of some sort that you publish. You can create forms in Google that capture information that you can send that information to a spreadsheet. It doesn't bring it into a CRM, but it allows you to start to capture information. That would be the easiest and cheapest way. And we covered that actually last week on Webinar Wednesday. We talked about using Google Forms. That would be the cheapest. I wouldn't say it's easiest because you have to figure it out. But that would be one way. But there are a number of small landing page builders and tools that will do it quite easily for you as well. Pretty much all of the pretty much all of the free or kind of the Weebly type email website builders will support you in this.
In your opinion, which email system is the best?
I defer to you, April.
I think the best one is what's the best fit for you and what you need. I think it's true. There's so many. There's not one size fits all. So what I would encourage you to do is make a list of all the things that are important for you. So what you need in your contact records. Do you need it to have an email platform attached to it? Does it need autoresponders? Do you need landing pages? There's ones that create events. You can create
what do you do?
Yeah.
Some of them are built kind of with certain markets in mind. ConvertKit, for example, was really built with authors in mind. And so it's got great. So if you're an author, if you're writing a book, I would say look at ConvertKit right away. If you're a church or a small charity, then Constant Contact has really done a great job of building out systems that support that sort of a venture. They do more than that, but that's kind of where I see them often fall. If you're a heavy duty building elaborate funnels and you're going to be really doing sophisticated systems, then you starting to look at a Keep or an Active Campaign is a good idea. But if you're going to be really big, you might go straight to a HubSpot. There's no right solution, and every single one of these applications is going to disappoint you in some area, and you're going to have to figure out how to overcome the challenges.
There's no one that does everything.
Yes. When you choose your CRM or your LMS, when you choose one of these tools, you make the best decision you can, and then you park it. You say, okay, now it's not their responsibility to make this work anymore. It's my responsibility. And then you learn to use the tool, and you find the challenges, you find the areas where you have to MacGyver your own systems together to make it work for you. But you don't spend your time complaining about what it doesn't do or the hoops that they have to make you jump through. Is you master them, and you take ownership of the situation. That's the only way you can succeed with these.
This will be the last question because we're just past the top. There are many aspects of this training is doable for my own business. However, some parts are more overwhelming. Do you offer consultation service for trickier parts or eventually recommend such services?
That's really the purpose of the Gray Wave community. Is at the end of when I was building my business, I relied on trusted advisors and a community of people that I could ask questions to overcome the sticky parts, as opposed to hiring somebody from the outside or along that line. That is one of the goals of our Gray Wave community, is the fact that the community members come together. And anybody who's here in the Gray Wave will validate that when people run into an issue, when they hit a sticky problem, when they need some advice, we are here to offer as much as we can, April, myself, and Bob. But even more value is the members of the community, because we've got a large community of experienced business people who are all concentrating on building online businesses. So somebody has been through what you're facing in the past, and they are more than willing to share. And that's the beauty of the Gray Wave community. And so, yes, there'll be consultants that you can hire, which you will learn about at the end. By the end, there's different people in our community that you can hire, and we can also offer some recommendations in different areas. But the most value is your peers, the sort of people who are here in this chat now, but ones that are totally dedicated to building a business, which are inside of the Gray Wave.
It's up to you if you want to. There's a few more questions, but it's up to you if you want to take them.
Let's take a couple more quick questions, and then if you need to leave now, you can go ahead and leave. The replay of this will be inside of the Thinkific in a couple of hours or by tomorrow, so that if you want to pick up and catch the last of these questions. But if you do have to leave, thank you so much. We'll see you on Friday. Friday is going to be fun because Fridays is profit. How we make money online. It's a one that it's a feel good one.
If you have multiple ideas for businesses, how likely it is that you have one system as you have introduced them may not apply to another. I wrote most of a book planning to part it out and sell services. I have a desire also to do a retail business for specific computer hardware. Would they work together?
Probably not. I would tend to think, David, and you already know the answer to this, that you're going to end up scattered and doing a half-assed job on all of them rather than a great job on one. That's not to say you can't do all of them in the fullness of time, but I would take them on one at a time and do a good job in one and not try and spread myself too thin. So if you've got a partially finished book, my advice, without knowing anything more, would be finish the book.
He's talking about systems, though. He's talking about what can you use one system for multiple businesses. That was the question.
Ultimately, yes. For example, if you build a CRM, if you choose a CRM, you can just segment the lists for each one of those different projects as you go along. So yes, all of the systems will work. You won't necessarily host them all on the exact same website. You might end up with multiple YouTube accounts because of the content doesn't necessarily the people who subscribe to one or follow you on one might not be interested in something else. But the physical systems that we put in place, yeah, they'll support multiple businesses.
So David, I have two businesses, then one's new, and I use the same CRM for both of them, but I anticipate that I'm going to have to I'll have to pay a separate account for the second business. So I'm starting it in the same, but using the same kind of brand of the CRM, just because I think that it gets too messy. And I can also speak from experience from a client that had two different state locations, and originally they had it in one CRM and it got too messy because it was just the list segmentations were so much, it was really hard to follow after a while. So they set up two accounts, but same CRM tool. Not sure if that helps, but
excellent.
What is the strength of MailChimp?
Lots and lots of tutorials online. Relatively inexpensive to start, scales to medium-sized business quite well, fairly reliable, and it's got a pretty full feature set. Am I missing anything?
No, I think one of their biggest features that I love is their time warp, that you can send emails in specific time zones at specific times. So like if it's 8 o'clock here on the East Coast, the email goes out to everybody 8 o'clock in their time AM. So you're not dealing with having to worry about time zone sends, because especially if you have a worldly list.
Yes.
No, I think that, yeah. And I think they're a great tool there. They have landing pages now. They've grown a lot. So it's changed, but it does get pricey. It does get pricey. Yeah.
They used to be the bargain because they would allow you 300 email addresses for free, and everybody thought, they were really an inexpensive way to start. But they've corrected their inexpensiveness.
How would we mention their email address is being captured and they're agreeing to being added to a mail list? It is simply as having a field that reads join our mail list.
Yeah, well, people know if they're filling in a form that they're signing up for something. Now, if you are giving them a list builder and then you're signing them up for your mail list, that's something called double opt-in. And there's a technique that you're supposed to follow if you're signing somebody up to your mail list, where they sign up and then they verify that, and that we teach. And you should be doing that, but also having a disclaimer telling people exactly what it is they're signing up for on that landing page is also important. So we have a disclaimer that says by filling in this form, you're agreeing to allow us to send you email.
The good news is if you use an email service provider / CRM, when you use their forms, it's built in because there is a canned spam law. So if you don't have verification that they've opted in, then you can get your domain blacklisted, which is a whole nother thing. But if you're using a CRM tool, not Google Forms, I would say like a MailChimp or something like that, where you've created a form, it automatically has default language that you don't even have to think about. Alrighty. I think that is it.
Okay, good. Perfect timing. Because my ads team just reached out and said, are you available for a quick call? So that's absolutely perfect. There we go. I will tell him yes. And with you, thank you all so much. As I say, coming up on Friday, it's going to be a great tutorial as we dive into profit. April, thank you. Your information was ever so valuable today. Bob, thanks for keeping things on track for us. To one and all, I hope that this is. I hope that you're at the point now. Some of you are overwhelmed. I get that, and believe me, we all reach that point. but I'm hoping that that is tempered with a degree of excitement and confidence that this is something that's attainable. Don't let the overwhelm intimidate you. It's that's temporary. The excitement and the success, that's much more long lasting. With that, April, thank you very, very much.
Yes.
Bob, thank you to each and every one of you. Till Friday. Have fun storming the castle.